All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know those brilliant minds over at OpenAI, the folks who brought us ChatGPT? Well, they're making headlines again.
Seems like they always are these days.
Right. And this time they're swapping out Silicon Valley for a little Parisian charm.
Parisian charm.
Yeah, they're opening up a brand new office in Paris.
Oh, wow, I hadn't heard that. Interesting.
Yeah, and it has everyone buzzing, trying to figure out what's behind the move.
I can imagine. It's not exactly the obvious choice, is it? At least not on the surface.
Exactly. So that's what we're diving into today, the why behind this Parisian play.
Sounds fascinating.
I've got a stack of reports here analyzing OpenAI's expansion strategy, the current AI scene in France, and even some speculation about regulatory hurdles they might face.
I'm all ears. What's got you hooked?
What has me hooked? It's the question of what makes Paris so special for OpenAI right now, you know? Why there? Why now?
I see. It's more than just the Eiffel Tower and croissants.
Way more, and that's the exciting part. OpenAI seems to be making a very calculated move here, positioning themselves right in the heart of a rapidly growing hub for AI talent and innovation.
Right. It's all about strategy in this game.
Absolutely. So let's break it down a bit. The news is swirling with reports of OpenAI setting up its third European base in Paris.
Third. So they're already in Europe.
They are. This new office would be following Dublin and London.
Gotcha. So it's not their first rodeo on this side of the pond.
Nope, not at all. But here's the thing. This isn't just another satellite office they're setting up, is it?
You're saying this is a big deal, even for them.
From what I'm seeing, absolutely. Sources suggest this will be a major hub for OpenAI.
A major hub. Okay.
We're talking attracting top-tier talent, collaborating directly with French businesses on the cutting edge of AI development.
So they're really embedding themselves in the European AI scene then.
Sounds like it, right?
It makes you wonder what's going on over there.
And it's no coincidence they've chosen France for this. You see, the French government has been very, very vocal about their ambitions to be a global AI leader.
Ambitious. I like it.
They're investing heavily in AI research, they're throwing support behind AI startups, and basically rolling out the red carpet for international players like OpenAI.
Wow, so they're not messing around. That's serious commitment.
Not messing around at all. They want to shed that image of France being just about fashion and food. Don't get me wrong, they're still killing it in those departments.
Of course.
But they're going all in on tech.
So they're aiming to be a tech powerhouse, like a new Silicon Valley.
Exactly. What we're seeing is a country actively building a thriving AI ecosystem. And this isn't just talk, they're backing it up with concrete actions.
Smart move on their part. Attracting companies like OpenAI is a good sign for them.
It's mutually beneficial, right?
It seems like a perfect match, at least on the surface. But, there have to be some challenges along the way, right? It can't all be baguettes and breakthroughs.
You're absolutely right. While France has a ton of opportunity, there's no denying that OpenAI is walking into a very different world than what they're used to in the US.
Different how?
Well, for one, the regulatory landscape in Europe, it's a whole different ballgame.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Lay it on me. What kind of regulatory hurdles are we talking about?
We're talking about those notoriously strict European data privacy regulations, specifically the GDPR.
Oh, the GDPR, of course. Right. I'm sure our listeners are familiar with it by now.
Yeah, and it's a completely different playing field compared to the U.S. approach.
Oh, absolutely. A world of difference. Much stricter over there.
And that's where the real test will be for OpenAI.
You think so? You think they'll struggle?
Well, it's less about struggling and more about adaptation. Because the GDPR has some serious teeth, you know? Any company handling user data in Europe has to be incredibly careful, especially AI companies like OpenAI.
What makes it so tricky for AI in particular?
Well, think about it. Data collection practices, algorithm transparency, user consent. These are all areas where OpenAI will need to tread carefully or face the music.
And the penalties for not playing by the rules, they can be pretty steep, right?
Steep is an understatement. We're talking potential fines that could reach into the billions of dollars. This isn't a slap on the wrist. It's a potential game changer for any company.
Wow, billions. Yeah, that'll get your attention.
No matter how innovative your tech is, that kind of financial hit can really sting.
Absolutely. And it's not just the financial risk either, right?
Exactly. Violating the GDPR could completely obliterate their reputation in a market that's only becoming more and more crucial for the future of AI.
So how does this tie back to the Paris office? You think that's part of the strategy to deal with the GDPR?
I think it's a strategic maneuver to mitigate those risks, absolutely.
How so?
Well, by establishing a physical presence in Paris, they're basically setting up shop right in the lion's den, so to speak.
Bold move. I like it.
They can work directly with regulators, gain a deep understanding of European data privacy laws, and demonstrate their commitment to compliance in a way that just isn't possible from across the Atlantic.
I see. So it's like they're learning the language of European AI before they launch their biggest products and services there.
Exactly. A proactive approach like this could give them a huge advantage as they navigate this ever-evolving regulatory landscape.
Makes sense. But it's not just about keeping the French regulators happy, is it? This is about the entire European Union, right?
You hit the nail on the head. We're talking about a massive market that's quickly becoming a major player in the global AI race.
And by setting up shop in Paris, OpenAI secures a strategic foothold in that market.
Precisely. They're positioning themselves for success in a region that's poised to shape the future of AI.
It's a smart move. I have to give them that.
So OpenAI is stepping onto a new playing field, one with its own set of rules and regulations.
And the stakes are high.
So let's dive into the weeds a bit. What specific challenges might OpenAI face when it comes to actually navigating these European data privacy regulations?
Well, the GDPR, as you can imagine, is a pretty dense piece of legislation. It covers a wide range of data protection issues.
I bet.
But there are definitely a few key areas that are particularly relevant for AI companies like OpenAI.
Like what? Give us a rundown.
All right. So one of the core principles of the GDPR is this idea of data minimization.
Data minimization.
It basically means you're only allowed to collect and process the absolute minimum amount of data you actually need for a very specific purpose. And this could have big implications for how OpenAI trains its AI models, which often rely on massive, and I mean massive, data sets.
So no more hoovering up all the data they can get their hands on. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow for companies that are used to the data-rich environment of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, it's a different world over here. They're going to have to be much more selective and way more transparent about their data practices.
Gotcha. What else? What other challenges are on the horizon?
Another crucial factor is the whole issue of transparency and explainability.
I've heard that thrown around a lot lately. Explainable AI. What does it actually mean?
It basically boils down to this. The GDPR pushes for clear, understandable explanations of how algorithms actually make decisions.
Yeah.
And this can be tricky.
Especially with those super complex deep learning models that power things like ChatGPT.
Exactly. It's not like these are just simple rules-based systems.
Yeah.
These AI models are working in ways that even their creators don't always fully grasp.
So how do you explain something you don't fully understand yourself?
Right. It's a real challenge.
And a major hurdle for complying with GDPR's transparency requirements, I'd imagine.
Exactly. Users have a right to know how decisions that impact them are made. So OpenAI is going to need to find ways to make their AI systems more explainable, even if it means simplifying things or revealing some of the inner workings.
So it's not enough to just build cool AI anymore. You got to build AI that can explain itself.
Pretty much. It's a whole new way of thinking about AI development.
Fascinating. What else is there? You mentioned a few key challenges.
Oh, and how could I forget? We have to talk about data subject rights.
Data subject rights. Fill us in.
Okay, so under the GDPR, individuals have a lot more control over their personal data. Like, a lot.
In what way?
Well, they have the right to access their data, the right to have it corrected if something's wrong.
Makes sense.
But get this, they also have the right to have it completely erased.
Erased. Like gone. Wiped from existence.
You got it. Deleted from the system entirely.
Wow. Okay, I can see where this is going. Imagine someone requesting OpenAI to delete all of their data from a system as massive and interconnected as ChatGPT. How do you even begin to untangle something like that?
It's a logistical and technical nightmare. But that's the reality of data subject rights under the GDPR.
So it's not just a legal issue, it's an engineering challenge, too.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to have to develop entirely new tools and processes to comply with these data subject requests.
While still ensuring their systems can actually function.
Exactly. It's a tall order for sure.
It sounds like OpenAI is walking a tightrope here. On one side, they need to keep innovating, keep pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. But on the other side, they have to operate within these really strict European regulations. How do they balance those competing demands?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels like a pivotal moment for them.
It is. It's a balancing act, for sure,
Yeah.
and one they're going to have to get right. They can't afford to ignore the European market.
It's too big to ignore.
Massive.
Hmm.
Strategically and intellectually, it's incredibly important.
Especially since Europe is becoming like a moral compass for AI in a lot of ways, setting the standards that other parts of the world might end up following down the line.
Exactly. This move to Paris could be OpenAI's way of saying, hey, we're here, we're listening, and we want to be part of shaping how this technology develops in a responsible way.
So it's not just about following the rules, it's about being part of the conversation about what the rules should be.
100%. This isn't just about complying with regulations. It's about shaping the very future of AI.
They're not just playing the game, they're trying to rewrite the rules.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And by really leaning into these regulations, by integrating them into their core practices, OpenAI could become a model for other AI companies around the world.
So this could actually give them a competitive edge.
It's possible. As consumers around the world become more aware of data privacy issues, as more governments grapple with the ethical side of AI, companies that can demonstrate a real commitment to responsible AI development, well, they're going to have a leg up.
It's like they're playing a long game here. They're thinking about the next decade of AI development, not just the next product cycle.
Precisely. And they're betting that this move to Paris is going to give them a head start in shaping that future.
It's a bold move, that's for sure. And like we've been saying, it's not just about the regulations. This whole thing seems to hinge on talent, too, right?
Absolutely. OpenAI isn't just drawn to France for its regulatory environment. They're also tapping into a rich vein of AI talent in Europe.
So what makes the French AI scene so special? Why Paris? So what makes the French AI scene so special? Why Paris?
Well, for starters, France has a long and storied history of academic excellence, especially in mathematics and theoretical computer science, fields that are really the bedrock of modern AI.
Right, they've got some serious brain power over there.
Absolutely. And in recent years, France has really doubled down on cultivating a new generation of AI experts.
In what way? Like, what are they doing specifically?
They're investing heavily in research institutions, they're creating specialized AI training programs, and they're fostering a really collaborative environment where researchers and entrepreneurs can connect and innovate together.
So it's not just about churning out graduates with AI on their resumes. They're really trying to cultivate a culture of innovation in the AI field.
Exactly. And that's something OpenAI clearly recognizes and values.
Which makes sense, considering the kind of talent they're looking to attract. It seems like they're not just looking for engineers who can crank out code.
Not at all. They want thinkers. They want people who are grappling with the big ethical questions surrounding AI, people who are thinking about the societal impact of this technology, not just the technical challenges.
So they're not just looking for engineers who can churn out code. They're seeking out collaborators who understand the broader implications of this technology.
Exactly. OpenAI wants to be at the forefront of AI development, not just technologically, but ethically. And they recognize that France, with its rich intellectual history and emphasis on ethical considerations, is fertile ground for that kind of collaboration.
It's like they're assembling a dream team of AI experts, all working together in a city renowned for its intellectual and artistic contributions.
And that brings us back to the strategic dimension of this move.
Hmm.
OpenAI isn't just setting up shop in Paris. They're planting their flag in the heart of a continent that's becoming increasingly influential in shaping the future of AI globally.
We've talked about the regulatory landscape and the talent pool, but what about the broader competitive landscape? How does this Parisian move position OpenAI in the global AI race?
It's a brilliant strategic play. By embracing European regulations and demonstrating a commitment to responsible AI development, OpenAI is setting themselves apart from competitors who might be taking a wait-and-see approach.
So while other companies are scrambling to catch up, OpenAI is already ahead of the curve, positioning themselves as the good guys of AI.
Exactly. And that could give them a significant advantage in winning trust and market share, not just in Europe, but globally. As more countries begin to grapple with the ethical implications of AI, OpenAI's experience in navigating Europe's strict regulations could become invaluable.
It's like they're playing a long game, thinking not just about the next product cycle, but about the next decade of AI development.
Precisely. And they're betting that this move to Paris will give them a head start in shaping the future of this transformative technology. It's a bold bet, but one that could pay off handsomely.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What does this Parisian power play really mean in the grand scheme of things?
It tells us that the future of AI isn't just about technological breakthroughs. It's about navigating a complex web of ethical considerations, regulatory landscapes, and global power dynamics.
And it seems OpenAI is betting on Paris as the place to be to navigate that complexity and come out on top. It's a fascinating story that's still unfolding, and we'll be watching closely to see what happens next.
It's been a pleasure diving into this with you today.
Likewise. And a huge thank you to our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into the world of OpenAI and their Parisian gamble. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world of AI. Until then, keep those algorithms running.